And I invited you to. It was a setup, right? We tend not, we're often leaders are people of action. We tend not to want to slow ourselves down and to ask ourselves the question, what's going on here? We tend to spend most of our energy doing and less of our energy listening. And so if you had that temptation, you're quite like many other people in the room. We're going to do an exercise, and I'm going to ask everybody to stand up in the middle of the room here. If I could get if I could maybe get 2 volunteers, maybe Sheila, would you be willing, and Daryl, if you could just kind of come over here and stand on this big balcony that we have.
Get away from this tripod.
I volunteered, I know. All right, so you don't need to be looking at Sheila and Daryl because they're not really part of your experiment. They're just watching what you're doing, okay? Each one of us, right now, pick out 2 other people in the room. Don't tell them, don't move toward them, but just mentally think about 2 other people in the room, okay? Ideally not the person that's right beside you, just think of 2 other people. All right, so we've done that. Now, we're about to start walking around the room, anywhere in the room that you want to go. You want to keep a minimum distance from each other, so let's make sure that we're always at least like a body width away from each other, that we don't brush up against each other. Let's keep that minimum distance, but let's also always be on the move, okay? So keep on moving, keep a minimum distance, and keep on looking at and sort of referencing where those 2 other people are. And if it helps you, eventually the group might start dispersing out around the room, but try to head back toward the center of the flock, as it were. If you think about those birds at the beginning, right, that there was something that sort of magnetized them together. So try not to let the flock, you know, that we've got 3 people in the sanctuary and 2 people downstairs, and right, try to move toward the center of the flock. So, are we ready for this? Does this feel awkward? Yeah. Good. You're on the dance floor. That makes sense. Okay. So let's just start moving around. Start walking around. Do not stop, and try not to get too close. Try to keep reference on where those 2 other people are. Right. Feel free to move anywhere that you want, and think about how you want to move toward the center of the flock. And while you're doing that, don't pay any attention to Daryl or Sheila. They're just simply watching you. And they're going to learn some patterns from you, and they're just going to observe. Just keep on walking around. We'll be doing this for another 2 minutes or so. All your whole job is just to observe.
So be quiet. I feel like have more confidence. You're going to fall, you're going to flop your wings. Yes. Okay. Hi, Greg. Hands are here. Sorry, come on.
Everything's like a blur. Dizzy, yeah.
Going around his way.
All right, you can just stay right where you are. We're not playing freeze tag, so you can like move around a little bit if you want to. But let's first take some observations from the dance floor about your experience, and then we'll take some observations from the balcony about what you saw, okay? So just describe what this just felt like, and what did you just see?
Circular flow on the outside.
Circular flow. Like what? Like public skating. That's great.
That's a good one.
Yeah, maybe that's a pattern, right? Okay. So you observed from the dance floor a type of pattern. What else?
Orderly.
Orderly. Oh, okay. All right. You observed something orderly from down on the dance floor.
Very crowded.
Very crowded.
I spent a lot of time looking at my feet.
A lot of time looking at
Trying
my
to
feet.
step on somebody.
Ah, okay. Yeah, okay.
There was like
Anything else?
Personal space, like
There was
how
no
to
space.
distance
Needed more
between
space.
you and, no, well, distance between you and the other person, you're constantly aware of that.
Right, right. Yeah. Len?
If you were out the outside, you felt a little isolated from the rest.
Okay. All right. Good,
There was
good.
like 3 paths, right? One was very congested, one was kind of moving around it, and one was on the isolated. Like, and they were all kind of moving together, but there were like 3 distinct from what I saw.
Okay. Now, you've discerned some patterns, and you've also described your own personal experience, right? So now we're going to go to the balcony, and we're going to learn what did they see as far as patterns go, and what do they think they know about your personal experience. Either one of you want to speak to either one of those. What kind of patterns did you see, and what was their personal experience?
Well, I saw some people were like, oh, this is so weird, how long do we do this? And other people were just having a great time and laughing. And then there's the ones that just decided to go along the outside because they don't want to be involved in the middle. And then, yeah, like there was the whole, definitely there's some people that were in the middle and then the outside and then the outside, right? So,
Okay. Good. Now, I'm going to pick on something you said. Did you notice Sheila said some of them went to the outside, and then she said because they didn't want to be in the middle. Now, who all went to the outside at any point? Why did you do that?
yeah.
It was too crowded. Okay, so her interpretation about why you did something turned out to be probably close to correct. Was there danger in her making the assumption they did that because they were feeling like they didn't want to be? What was the danger in her interpreting it that way?
It was an assumption that we went out because,
Yeah,
as opposed to maybe wanting to go out there, or just,
yeah,
we just went out just to go out.
yeah. Okay.
And it sounded different than, I don't know who, but somebody had said, it felt isolating on the outside, so that didn't sound like they wanted to be out there. It
They wanted to
sounded
come
like
back in.
They somehow maybe didn't know how to make it back in or got pushed out there in
Okay,
some way.
yeah. So there's good data that we both had. Daryl, how about you?
A few things. One is the expressway was kind of the flow that went right to the middle here, and then other things diffused from that, but the main one was around this middle kind of ellipse or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there were, when people made definitive moves, other people would kind of follow them. So I think people were walking slowly and stuff. Other people weren't noticing it a lot, but if someone went like this, then all of a sudden you'd see other people around them do those kind of moves. And then I noticed Greg was trying to, I think he was trying to do the opposite of what other people were doing. Like honestly, I was trying to watch everybody, but I kept noticing, most people were kind of going in this direction too. There was less going this way, except Greg. Greg was kind of going the exact opposite of what everybody else was doing.
Right.
But that was another thing I noticed.
So there was a discernible pattern that was happening.
Yeah,
because-
definitely to the left, around to the left, rather
Yeah.
than the other way around.
Okay. Did you know that experience, that most of you were going one direction rather than the other?
There was like 3 or 4 people going the opposite direction in the middle.
Okay. We're going to try it again. This time we're going to invite the balcony folks to join us, and we're going to have the impulse to stay, move toward the center of the group wherever the group is, okay? So even if the group goes to another part of the room, we're all trying to move to the center of the group, okay? Does that make sense? We're going to give it 2 minutes. Daryl and Sheila, you know what you're doing? Join the group.
Are we still paying attention to our 2 people?
Yes, still paying attention to our 2 people.
Because on the first time round,
Yeah.
and where you had said without identifying who they are,
Yeah,
I noticed that those 2 people from opposite ends of the room
yeah.
were always right here together.
Really? Huh. Anybody else have that? All right, so that might have been just an anomaly, but still important information for
I'm
you.
glad you could see your two people.
Well,
She's taller.
I couldn't participate in the walking. I had